For the past couple of weeks, I've been listening to Sergeant Willie P. and Christelyn and Karazin, and the thing that's been going on round and round about swirling or interracial marriage. And I've looked at other shows like Madame Noir when they do their podcasts and the things that they talk about, and all this stuff about colorism and interracial marriage. And I'm coming to believe that sisters are getting upset about interracial marriage not because of the loyalty of the men. It has got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the way they feel about themselves. Their hair, the nail, the makeup, the color contacts, all that stuff. That has nothing to do with the preference of the black males, of the black men. Once again, they're using black men to cover up their perceived inadequacies. I'm not talking about real inadequacies or apparent inadequacies, perceived inadequacies. It's not how we treat them or how we go about things or whether the white man is treating them better. It has to do with how they feel about themselves, which is naturally female anyway. The feminine energy, the female mind is naturally solipsistic anyway. It's egocentric. It's borderline narcissistic. Their worldview is internal. They think that the whole world thinks like them. That's just a female paradigm. So this whole thing about swirling, this whole thing about interracial marriage has nothing to do with them being happy, has nothing to do with them being married. They could fix that. If you look at interracial marriage from a percentage standpoint, we're only talking about 3% of black men total. I'm not talking about black males. I'm talking about black men from 18 years and older. We're not even talking about the boys or the teenagers. We're talking about the black men. We're talking about 3%, less than 3% of the total. This is what they're getting upset about. So that lets you know this is a straw man. This is a red herring. It has nothing to do with black men. It has everything to do with the way black females feel about themselves. Why is that? Why is the standard of beauty important? Because women have, as a vessel, their most important thing is their bodies. Their inherent worth is their wombs and their bodies, for a very good reason. Their wombs and their bodies produce offspring, and their offspring, to a woman's psyche, they want to produce offspring that have the best advantage in any given environment. That's why when you go down to Latin America, they want children that have what they call clear eyes, very light brown, blue, green, whatever, because in Latin America, their eyes are black. Their eyes are very dark brown. Their eyes are black. I know because I have a grandson whose eyes are black. They're very dark. But to have those kind of features, to have very light skin and very clear eyes, that gives them an advantage in their society. So women gravitate to that. If you got blue eyes, and you got light skin, they gravitate to that because they want your DNA. They want children from you so that their children will have an economic advantage in their society. That's all over the world. That's all over the world. Because of white supremacy or white dominance over the last couple hundred years, that is the standard and that is the advantage. So naturally, females will gravitate to that unconsciously, and black women are no different. So when they go look at themselves in the mirror, the darker they are, the more inadequate they feel because of that particular standard. They have dark eyes and dark skin, and they compare that to Susie, who has blonde hair and blue eyes, which is the standard. They feel inadequate. So they feel that the people that are supposed to be loyal are the men that look like them. So if they go over and they get a white man, that's a boost for them. That's a win for them. But if a black man doesn't come to their side, that's a loss, because that black man going and getting a white woman makes them feel rejected. You're rejecting you're rejecting them as far as as far as the standard of beauty. It makes them feel worse. They already feel bad about not having the straight hair. They already feel bad about not having blue eyes. They already feel bad about not having the white skin measuring up. And when they can't get 100% of the men that look like them, that makes them feel worse. So that's the whole thing. It's not about how black men treat them. It's not about them not being able to build with black men, because they'll go out and they'll sleep with the dark thug in a hot second. But the thing is, when that dark thug sleeps with a white woman, all of a sudden, boom. How could you reject me for her? Even though in the black man's mind, he's not rejecting anybody. If you look at the way black men think, which is the exact opposite, it's not about looks. To a black man, a white woman with a fat behind is no different than a light-skinned woman with a fat behind or a dark-skinned woman with a fat behind. We like all three equally. There's preferences going either way, but we like all three equally. It doesn't matter. Do we get swayed by what's projected in the media? Of course we do. But if you look at the totality of black men, why do they say they're jumping the fence? Why do you think they're getting with a white woman? For various reasons. And black women think it's because of the way they look. That's in a black woman's mind. So no matter what we say about why we choose another race or another ethnic group of women, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to looks for them. It all comes down to genetics for women, because that's what they're focused on. If you say that white woman is more supportive, or that Hispanic woman is more nurturing and more domesticated, or that Asian woman is more submissive, that is all tossed out in a black woman's mind, because it has nothing to do with that, because she's a woman. It all comes down to genetics. That Asian woman has straight hair. That Hispanic woman has olive skin. That white woman's got blonde hair and blue eyes and white hair. That's all they see. Has nothing to do with the rest of it. Why black men actually choose women? Because when they look in the mirror, they say, "This is what I have, and here's the standard." And if black men choose something else, they're looking at it exactly the same thing, and it's not true. So swirling in interracial marriage, and why black women get so upset about it, has nothing to do with black men. Zero. It has everything to do with the way they feel internally. And black women are all constantly pointing the finger at black men, and they're not doing internal work. That's why for the past 50 years, they're still complaining, they're still talking shit, and they're still unhappy, because they refuse to do the internal work. They're emotionally and intellectually cowards. I'm a strong black woman. I'm an independent black woman. But you're too big of cowards to face your own shit, to own your own shit, to admit your complicity in the crap that we're in. And that's all black men are really saying. 30 years ago, they were saying it nicely. Oh, she's just crazy. Oh, she really doesn't mean any harm. She just lost. In 20 years, they were trying to encourage you. Okay, if we just give them a little more, we woo them a little bit more this way, blah, 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 they'll change. You will give them what they want and they'll change and they'll get better. 10 years ago, black men just after went off the rails. Fuck it. They're not listening. They're not changing. Their rhetoric is still the same. We tired of getting attacked. So guess what? We're going to start, if they're going to keep shooting us in the back, guess what? We're going to turn around and start shooting too. And that's what's been happening. That's where the war started. And it all comes down to black women are not willing to own their own shit. They keep blaming stuff on black men for their inadequacies. Colorism didn't start with black men. It starts with black women. Because that's what's important to you. Every black man can go back and listen to his grandmother and his mother, and first thing when a baby pops out, what is the first thing they say? They're looking at color, they're looking at hair texture, and they're looking at eye color. A black baby pops out, and the first thing the father and the men want to do is the baby healthy. 10 fingers, 10 toes. Is the baby normal psychologically? The baby's not slow. The baby's alert. That's what's important to a man. That's what's important to men. They could care less what kind of hair texture the baby has. They could care less whether the baby is snow white or pitch black. What they do care about there's some features that their baby looks like him, because that's the other thing that men worry about. All men, but black men in particular. When we're bringing mama and sisters along, who does that baby look like? Is there any one of our relatives in our line that baby looks like? Make sure that this broad hasn't went behind the house with Jody and trying to stick me with somebody else.